Titans have 45 exotic armor pieces. Many of them you've probably played with, but most of them you probably haven't. So I made a PvE build for every exotic to see if there are any hidden gems out there. And some of these builds might surprise you. I'm Marshix, and I won't be going in depth into every aspect of every build, because this video would be 8 hours long. So instead, I'm going to go over the important parts to show you the framework that you can build upon. Now, the first exotic is Insurmountable Skullfort. This will give you infinite arc melees as long as you always get kills with it. So on Prismatic, we can have unlimited thunderclaps that can spawn diamond lances with the stasis aspect. So you can punch things to spawn a diamond lance, freeze the next wave, and then shatter them with another thunderclap. And Facet of Ruin will increase the shatter damage, Facet of Courage will increase the damage of thunderclap against frozen enemies, and Facet of Dawn will make you radiant constantly. This build is really fun and pretty strong, but in high level content, it can sometimes be a little inconsistent. Mask of the Quiet One. This gives you Devour with rapid multi-kills, so you're basically going to have permanent Devour while this is equipped. While you have Devour, kills will heal you and give you grenade energy. So since we'll have a lot more grenades to throw, we're pairing this with Echo of Instability to give our Void Weapons volatile rounds with every grenade kill. We also have Graviton Lance to use those volatile rounds and to make other explosions to keep Devour going. And Controlled Demolition for even more volatile explosions. When you put all of this together, it's just insane. Khepri's Horn. This makes your barricade shoot out a wave of solar energy, and this stacks with Dranger's Lash on Prismatic to turn your barricade into an offensive attack that kills small enemies with the solar and suspends larger enemies with Strand. Pair this with the Baby Shield for a faster cooldown, Reaper to spawn Orbs of Power after you use your barricade, and Insulation to get extra barricade energy by picking up those orbs. Now you can finally witness firsthand why they say the best offense is a good defense, or something like that. Helm of Saint 14. This will blind enemies who enter your bubble and give you a damage buff by entering your bubble. This is a 25% damage buff, but if we pair this with Microcosm, it becomes a 50% damage buff. Microcosm is a heavy trace rifle that deals more damage after your super ends. Because Bubble is a one and done super, this will activate as soon as you place the bubble, instantly giving you both buffs, which results in 50% more damage before we even factor in other things like weapon surges. Let's be honest, Destiny is kinda dead right now with little to no content, but there is a game with an endless amount of content, and that game is Raid Shadow Legends, and they're giving away free stuff right now, so keep watching. Raid is a turn-based RPG with tons of content from a full campaign, lots of dungeons, 3 clan bosses, multiple PvP modes, and so much more. And the best part is that it's free to play on both mobile and PC, so you can play anywhere. And right now, Raid is celebrating Christmas with a special minigame event that lasts until January 15th. You have to save Santa by shooting the boss with snowballs, and once you do, you have a chance to win real-life prizes, like a $5,000 gift card, a gaming console, a smartphone, $100 Amazon gift cards, or in-game loot like legendary champions or skill tomes. But you have to be fast because you only have 24 hours to play the event after downloading Raid using my link down below. And with winter finally here, Raid has no shortage of icy champions, like Sir Nicholas, who can freeze enemies and protect teammates, or Tormund the Cold, who is wearing the coolest dwarven armor set I've ever seen. If you haven't started playing Raid yet, you should. Click my link in the description or scan this QR code on screen to get insane bonuses available only with my link. You will immediately get a huge starter pack with the epic champion Ugo, which is a great support character that will carry you through the early game. Then you'll get another starter pack at level 15 that includes the epic champion Fang. These 2 champions are only available by downloading Raid using my custom link or QR code, so do it now. Or if you have played Raid in the past and quit, you can get a special welcome back gift using the link in the description with your mobile device. This will give returning players a bonus package with the epic champion Tagore, which is a solid support option for clan bosses. And speaking of, I need more people in my clan, so look me up under the name Marshix Prime and join the Meerkat crew. Thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Eternal Warrior. This can give you a basically permanent damage buff for all arc weapons. Throw on a good ad clearing arc weapon like Trinity Ghoul, and then just get kills with it. Kills with any arc weapon will build up stacks of arc weapon surges, going up to 4 stacks, which is a 25% damage buff that's extremely easy to keep going. Or you can throw in a legendary weapon with Volt Shot to build up the stacks easily, then swap to an exotic heavy weapon and deal a lot more damage with that. One-Eyed Mask. This thing sucks, don't use it in PvE, it's not worth building. Precious Scars. This can easily give you unlimited restoration to keep you alive for much longer. Kills with weapons that match your super element will give you restoration. This has an internal cooldown, but on a solar subclass, you can use Ember of Empyrean to extend your restoration up to 15 seconds, which basically negates the cooldown and gives you more time in between kills. And all you have to do to start this infinite loop is get a single kill with a solar weapon. Sunshot is a solar weapon. Loreley Splendor, another restoration exotic, but the build is completely different. This will create sunspots whenever our shields break, and Sol Invictus will increase our ability regen and give us restoration whenever we enter a sunspot. But this will consume our class ability each time it creates a sunspot, so we need Rally Barricade for the shortest cooldown, Ember of Singeing for faster class abilities whenever we scorch enemies, and an incandescent weapon to scorch enemies. You will also create sunspots with scorch kills, so you'll constantly have a source of restoration, and if you're ever in trouble, Loreley will step in to save the day. Cadmus Ridge Lancecap. This will improve your diamond lances by creating stasis crystals wherever they land. So it will freeze anything you hit with it, then you can shoot the stasis crystal to instantly shatter them all. This also means you can use a weapon with Rime Stealer to get easy stacks of frost armor each time you shoot one of those stasis crystals. And you can take advantage of other stasis abilities like Whisper of Shards, Whisper of Fissures, and Tectonic Harvest to get way more value out of each diamond lance. ACDO Feedback Fence. This exotic got a change a while back, and now it's usable. Melee hits will give you armor charges, and receiving melee damage will consume your armor charges to jolt nearby enemies. The more armor charges you have, the more damage this will deal. So we're basically going to be using this on an Arc subclass with Spark of Instinct to achieve basically the same effect for double the jolt. Between this and Spark of Shock, you'll be jolting everything. Just don't take this into any hard content because, unless you're a masochist, you typically don't want to be punched in the face. Doomfang Pauldron. This exotic allows you to stay in your Sentinel super for an unlimited amount of time. Each hit with your throwing shield will return super energy, so as long as you continue to throw shields and get shield bounces, you can stay in it theoretically forever. I even found this video of one guy being in his single super for hours. Now we can improve this by adding an offensive bulwark to get a second shield throw, controlled demolition to make enemies volatile each time we hit them with a void ability, including the shields in our super, and Echo of Expulsion to make enemies explode with our abilities, on top of the volatile explosions that they already get. And Power Preservation will remove the orb generation cap of the super, allowing Sentinel to generate dozens of orbs for all of our teammates. Just make sure they aren't stealing all your kills so you can stay in your super. Synthoceps. This will increase your melee damage while you're surrounded by enemies, and my favorite thing to pair with this is Banner of War, because you're able to stack the damage buffs from Synthoceps, Banner of War, a 1-2 punch shotgun, and Tractor Cannon to deal some serious damage to anything in melee distance. Then you'll spawn Tangles that can give your melees back way faster using Into the Fray and Threat of Fury. So you'll be able to punch things really hard, you'll stay alive with Banner of War and Woven Mail, and you'll get your melee back a lot faster. Aeon Safe. Most people use this to generate heavy ammo, but there's actually another build that makes it incredible for killing champions. Sector Force will mark champions and powerful combatants by shooting them in the head. While marked, your teammates will deal 20% more damage to them, and this stacks with pretty much everything else in the game. Now, since we're already taking the champion support role, we might as well double down on it with Divinity. This will make a bubble around your target, which also makes them take more damage, and every shot will also count as a headshot, so your teammates don't even really have to aim, and you're guaranteed to mark them with Aeons. So just shoot them with Divinity to apply 2 different debuffs, then wait for your teammates to absolutely melt them. Or just stand there and awkwardly wait until they realize there's a champion in front of them. Ashen Wake. This exotic will make your fusion grenades detonate on impact, stun unstoppable champions, and kills with your grenades will build up energy towards your next grenade, making it possible to chain them back to back to back. Now we're pairing this with Buried Bloodline to give us Devour, which will also give us grenade energy with every kill. So between both of these exotics and Sunspots, you'll get your grenades back consistently, and with Roaring Flames, they'll hit like a truck. A small truck, but still a truck. Wormgod Caress. This is basically the same build as Synthoceps, but instead of being surrounded by enemies, we want to get melee kills beforehand. Then just debuff enemies with Tractor Cannon, shoot them with a 1-2 punch shotgun, then kill them with your punches. Ursa Furiosa. Blocking damage with either your Sentinel shield or your grenade shield with Unbreakable will generate super energy for you. The super can return up to 50% back immediately after your super ends, and the Unbreakable shield is less, but you can use it a lot more often. So we already have a lot of super energy, so we might as well double down with Bad Juju. This will give us more super energy with every kill, making our Sentinel come back in a matter of seconds. Stronghold. This can give us the strongest healing buff in the game, and we can build upon it to keep that buff indefinitely. Blocking with a sword will give us stacks of perfect guard. Then, dealing damage with a sword will consume those stacks and give us restoration times 2. And the more stacks you have, the longer the buff lasts, going up to 24 seconds when paired with Ember of Solace. Now, once we have that restoration, we can use Ember of Empyrean to refresh the buff with solar kills. This will reduce the timer to 15 seconds, but if you're able to consistently get solar kills with something like Sunshot, you can keep this going indefinitely, making it really easy to keep the strongest version of Restoration forever. Citan's Ramparts. This is pretty much just for PvP. Your barricade breaks way too fast at nightfalls, and I can't think of any other scenario where you might want this. Icefall Mantle. This will convert your class ability into a burst that gives you max stacks of frost armor for a damage resistance. Pair this with Whisper of Rime to get more stacks of frost armor, and a weapon like Exuvier that has Headstone to create stasis crystals, and Rime Stealer to give you frost armor by shooting those stasis crystals, and you'll be able to instantly get 8 stacks of frost armor and easily maintain those stacks with just your primary weapon. Then you can just keep throwing in other things with stasis crystals and you'll have a really solid build. No backup plans. This will give you overshields with shotgun kills, and while you have an overshield, you do more damage with shotguns. So we're using a Void subclass with Bastion to easily give ourselves an overshield just by placing our barricade, and the exotic we're using is Legend of Acreus because it's a heavy shotgun that deals a lot more damage than any other shotgun, and it also has Trench Barrel to further increase its damage by punching first. So just get next to a boss, place your barricade to get your overshield, then punch, shoot, 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 punch, shoot, shoot, shoot. It's not like this is the most amazing damage in the world, but it is really good, especially for bosses that you can get up close to. Second Chance. This makes your throwing shield apply weaken to enemies, so they'll take more damage, and it can also pierce barrier shields. So we're going to double down on this with Facet of Dawn to make us radiant with every shield throw. So now the enemy takes 15% more damage from all sources, and you deal 25% more damage with weapons. And just because of the way this stacks, this results in over 40% more damage just by throwing your shield first. We can also use Monte Carlo to get another damage buff with every melee kill, and we get our melees back much faster just by using it. So we can throw lots of shields that give a ton of extra value. Point and Contact Cannon Brace. This will enhance your Thunderclap melee by making it jolt enemies, hit them with lightning strikes, and refund a portion of your melee energy. And if you get enough kills with each melee, you can actually get it back entirely. And as you can see, one punch can do some serious work. Now we're getting a bunch of jolt kills, so we might as well throw in Spark of Ions to make a bunch of ionic traces that can help charge up the next melee, as well as Spark of Recharge to do the same thing. Now just punch, 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 and everything's dead. Pyrogale Gauntlets. This will turn your Burning Maul super into one really powerful slam that spawns fire tornadoes that deal damage over time. And it will also create these fire tornadoes each time you slam with Consecration. So we're going to run this on a solar subclass to deal a ton of extra damage with the super, and the exotic weapon we're using is Dragon's Breath. This will deal damage over time to whatever it hits, and it will automatically reload itself whenever you ignite an enemy. Between the Scorch from this and the fire tornadoes, they're going to ignite multiple times, so you can shoot Dragon's Breath going into a boss fight, pop your super to deal a lot of burst damage and reload Dragon's Breath, then immediately shoot Dragon's Breath again, then swap to your special weapon while your rocket and super deal damage in the background, and then repeat the cycle. Wishful Ignorance. This is the exact same as the Synthoceps build, which was number 12 on the list, but we're swapping out the exotics. You won't be able to get as much damage per punch, but it does come close, and you'll get one extra melee charge, and your melee will regenerate faster while you have Banner of War, so you'll be able to punch things a lot more often. Still not quite as good as Synthoceps, but a really solid option if you want a Banner of War build. Crest of Alpha Lupi. This makes your super generate one extra orb of power. In other words, don't touch this. Actium War Rig. This is definitely best paired with Grand Overture, because it will automatically reload your machine guns over time, and with Grand Overture, you quite literally never have to reload. So you can just shoot and shoot and shoot, and once you get your 20 missiles built up, swap modes, dump them all, and then immediately get back to firing. Nothing else needed. Hallowfire Heart. This has a cool combo with the Callus weapons, specifically Callus Mini Tool and Drain. Hallowfire will give you faster grenades and melees while your super is full. The Callus weapons have an origin trait that gives you 20 discipline and 20 strength while your super is full. So both of these are giving you faster grenades and melees just by not popping your super. But it gets better because both of these weapons get incandescent to apply Scorch to enemies, and killing a Scorch target will spawn sunspots with Sol Invictus. These sunspots will also increase your ability regen, meaning you can get your grenades back consistently in just a few seconds with very little effort. Armamentarium. This will give you 2 grenade charges, but we're not actually using this to throw grenades. We're using it to feed Tessellation. This allows you to consume your grenade to get an extra powerful shot, and kills of this weapon will give you grenade energy back. Because you now have 2 charges, you can use this 2 times back to back, and if you get enough kills with each shot, you can get over 100% of your grenade back. So it's really easy to keep this going, and always have a way to overcharge Tessellation. Heart of Inmost Light. Using an ability will make your other 2 abilities regenerate faster. So to get the most out of this, you need to build around ability spam. So we're using Prismatic to get 3 melee charges, Thruster since it has a very short cooldown to feed our other abilities, Dringer's Lash to suspend things each time we use Thruster, which again is very often, and Consecration because if you hit multiple enemies with it, which you are going to do, it will actually count as 2 activations for Heart of Inmost Light, meaning our 3 melee charges now count as 6 activations. We also have Facet of Balance and Facet of Hope to get our abilities back faster, and Lost Signal to fill up our Transcendence energy way faster for even more ability spam with Transcendence. Severance Enclosure. Melee kills will make enemies explode. A weak explosion, but enough to kill red bars. Since this only works with powered melees, we're going to use the Throwing Hammer on Solar. You can throw this to create an explosion, then run over and pick it up to get it back, and make more explosions. We also have Sunspots for protection since we'll be getting a lot of ability kills, and Roaring Flames so we can deal the most damage with each Throwing Hammer, and secure the kill for Severance Enclosure. I probably wouldn't take this into any high level content, but it's actually pretty good in low level content. Cuirass of the Falling Star. This will increase the damage of your Thundercrash super, so we're going to focus on burst damage. First of all, we have Facet of Courage to further increase the damage of our Thundercrash against slowed enemies. And we're slowing them with a chill clip weapon like Tanasha's Mastery, but any chill clip weapon will work. We also have Facet of Dominance to weaken enemies with our Void Grenades to deal even more damage on top of that, and we're pairing this with Parasite to also get a lot of burst damage out of our heavy weapon. So just throw a grenade to weaken them, shoot them with Chill Clip, nuke them with Parasite, then absolutely destroy them with Thunder Crash. Your Mom Frost. This will turn your barricade into stasis crystals. So we're going to use a Rhyme Stealer weapon to shoot these stasis crystals for easy frost armor, Whisper of Fissures to cause more destruction with each of our stasis crystals, and Howl of the Storm to create even more stasis crystals with our melee. So now we create stasis crystals with our grenade, melee, and class ability, and our Rhyme Stealer weapon will keep us alive with frost armor. So there's going to be a lot of explosions, and you probably won't die. Arbor Warden. This exotic takes your class ability, turns it into a grenade that you can throw down to get a class ability. I don't know who designed this, but it's not good. The only way to really build around this to make it anything special is by using Dranger's Lash to make your barricade suspend everything in front of it. That isn't even good, but if you use this with anything else, you're basically just making your normal barricade more annoying to use. I guess the intent with this exotic is to throw it for your teammates or like throw it and push up, but Hazardous Propulsion. Getting kills will build up rockets. Using your class ability will launch those rockets forward, and whenever they deal damage, your other rockets will get a damage buff. But this buff is not limited to rocket launchers. It also works with rocket sidearms and the missiles from Grand Overture. So that's exactly what we're using. Get kills with your primary weapon to build up stacks, launch the missiles to get the damage buff, then use your sidearm on larger targets, and Grand Overture for champions and bosses. Lion Rampant. This is pretty much just for better movement tech, so let's throw on more movement tech. We first have an Eager Edge Sword to fly around the map really fast, grapple grenades to gain height and save you from falling, and a Lethanim to rocket jump to gain a lot of height or speed before you start flying around the map with an Eager Edge Sword. Peacekeepers. This will increase the damage of your SMGs as you shoot them, going up to double damage at 20 stacks. So in order to get the most damage out of it, you need an SMG with a huge magazine size, and the best weapon for that is Yaravit. This gets rerun rounds to partially reload it as you shoot, and Deconstruct to partially reload it as you shoot. So between both of these perks, you can shoot for a very long time, and as long as you aren't missing a bunch of shots, you'll have double damage for most of the magazine. Dune Marchers. Sprinting will build up static charge, making your next punch create chain lightning. I tried to make a decent build with this, but it really is just a worse version of Spirit of Contact, so this will forever be a PvP only exotic. MK44 Stand-Asides. This is basically just Insurmountable Skullfort if it was designed by Ubisoft. Each kill with a shoulder charge ability will give you half the charge back, so definitely not as good as Skullfort, but it works with any shoulder charge ability, including Hammer Strike. This will scorch enemies, or if you kill them, they will instantly ignite. So if we build into ignitions, things can get pretty interesting. We have Ember of Eruption to increase the size of the ignitions, Ember of Char to spread scorch to anything hit by the ignitions, Ember of Ashes for more scorch stacks, and Ember of Searing to get the other half of our melee charge back by killing those scorched targets. So you basically just punch things to catch them all on fire, kill them while they're on fire to get your melee back, then repeat the cycle. It's not great, but it gets the job done. Antaeus Wards. This exotic is basically only for PvP, and if you're gonna play PvP, you might as well play Marvel Rivals instead. I am not sponsored to say that, but I would love to be. Peregrine Greaves. This is the anti-champion exotic. While you're in the air, all of your shoulder charge abilities will deal way more damage to champions, and hitting one will refund your entire melee charge, so you can basically do this just over and over and over. So we're pairing this with Tractor Cannon to debuff enemies to ensure they always go down in one punch. Then you can move on, debuff the next one, and then punch them again. And a lot of the times, you don't even have to stun them to kill them. If you ever plan to farm expert loss sectors, this is the perfect build for that. Phoenix Cradle. This will make Sol Invictus last twice as long and allows teammates to get this buff too. So we want to make lots of sunspots, and the best way to do that is with Throwing Hammer, since you basically have unlimited charges with it. And you can also use an incandescent weapon, since Scorch kills create sunspots too. So basically just get kills to create sunspots, then run from sunspot to sunspot to keep Sol Invictus going all of the time for faster abilities and infinite restoration. Path of Burning Steps. Kills with solar weapons will build up solar weapon surges, going up to 4 stacks. Or at least, that's what it's supposed to do. I guess it's bugged right now or something, but after you get the buff, you can only get like 1 or 2, sometimes 3 stacks, and then it will just disappear and not come back again for like 20 seconds. So until this is fixed, don't use it. Abiant Leap. This will improve Dranger's Lash by making it shoot out 3 suspending projectiles instead of 1. It also gives you Woven Mail each time you suspend an enemy, so it's very easy to keep Woven Mail. Now we want to focus on getting fast class abilities. So we're using Thread of Mind to get class ability energy each time we suspend things with our class ability, and we have Thread of Continuity to keep them suspended for longer, and if you want to use Wishkeeper, that can also suspend things to give you your faster class abilities and almost permanent Woven Mail. Blast Wave Striders. While you have this equipped, you take less damage from your own explosives, and kills will build up charge. At max charge, you can slide to jump up in the air and shoot out stasis crystals, and it also gives you frost armor. Now we're going to pair this with Alethanim, because the vestiges created by Alethanim will also build up the charge for Blast Wave. So you can charge it up much faster with Alethanim, allowing you to spawn a lot more stasis crystals and keep your frost armor. The getting launched in the air part is really annoying, but the stasis effects are pretty cool. Stoicism. This has many great roles that do completely different things, but you have to click on this video to see my must-have exotic class items. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to download Raid Shadow Legends using my link down below for extra bonuses.